Welcome back to the Raw Podcast, Restoring Awesome Warrior. We have here Jackie H., myself, and I have here my co-host Gail Barron, the judge. And we're back again to talk to you some more about our experience and what we went through in our life and just sharing. Gail, how you doing today?
I'm well.
You well? Okay. So we got a rough topic today.
Yes.
I consider it rough, but it's life. And what we want to talk about today is reigning spirits. What's in your DNA, your genetics? And this is something that I think a lot of people, when I came up, I didn't think about this. I often wanted to know what was wrong, but I didn't never get the training on reigning spirits. What's in your DNA? It wasn't something we talked about a lot. Knowing what's in your history, what's in your DNA line between your father, mother, or to the third and fourth generation. So sometimes you're acting or you're doing things and you don't even realize, well, your late grandfather did it. But if nobody talks history and nobody tell you what's reigning, you just don't know. And I wanted to know because in our upbringing, I often go back to three things that was very important to me in my life was church, our home, and school up until I was 18. And it was just a lot of things I saw and experienced I didn't understand. As far as being Christians, as far as, that's what I had to relate it to because I didn't associate you being a Christian and the reigning spirit. It didn't go together to me for what I thought a Christian should be. I never knew that you can be a Christian, but you can have spirits reigning. Even in our region, what's over your city? What's over your household? We talk about culture before, but then there is just some spirit that reigns. It was very powerful. And I prayed. I'm just going to go there. I prayed to God. What is the problem here? I hear what I hear, but I see actions that don't line up with this. And I remember laying in my bunk in the military. And I have to say that it was a spirit spoke to me and said, what you was experiencing and what you saw was reigning spirits. Never heard about it in my life. At that time, never knew. I didn't know that there was a lion spirit. I didn't know that there was a homosexuality spirit. I didn't know there was a perversion spirit. I just didn't know. You saw actions. I went through things, but I didn't know that was the spirit that was reigning over the region or over a family or over your... What did you know at that age that it was a certain thing called reigning spirits?
No, at the time, like you said, you know something is wrong, but you don't know what. And you will never know unless you question. I mean, sometimes you can't question people. Like you said, you ask God. Because a lot of time the people, whether our forefathers, a lot of things was shame to them. It's not that they didn't know, but they didn't pass it on.
Oh, you think some of them knew about this stuff?
I think they.
Wow.
I think some of them knew, because in the conversation they will say such and such is like this, or such and such is doing this. They knew of the behavior,
Wow.
but they did not maybe know that it was a spirit. They didn't know that it would be passed down as reigning, because like natural, like spiritual, a lot of things that your forefathers can have, it can be passed down through genetics.
Right. So this was interesting. This was very interesting to me because I blamed it on church. I blamed it on God. I like what I saw. So the church that I went to, everything got blamed on. Oh, it's that church. I didn't know that the church was made up of people.
Right. Right.
you have a building, but
Right.
the church, any church is made up of people.
Right. Any organization.
Any organization, anything. So what is reigning over, and that, and in our church coming up, like somebody else might have a different view of how they came up, but in our church we was married into
right.
like my dad
Right.
and our uncle married my mother and her sister. So it wasn't only that you was one way, you was like just entwined. You was wrapped around. You was cousin and aunts all at the same time. So my aunt married my cousin, so that made her my cousin-in-law, but she was my aunt. It was a lot. But history, not knowing what's in nobody's DNA. So I just blame, it was the church we went to. Not until I left out of it. Sometimes you got to come out of something to see what exactly is going on. So there is, do you have any spirits that you can, I know you're evangelist, I study some traits. Like there are some things that can be passed down. Like, so if your mother had brown eyes, somebody in the family might have brown eyes. But I didn't know, like, if your mom was a drunk, an alcoholic, that you can skip being an alcoholic, but your grandchild can inherit that.
Right.
Like, when I start reading, and we're going to have someone on here, like, professionally to talk about that, because people don't know what's passed down even in their generation. So I remember our former pastor telling us, even before we got married or hook up with somebody, he say, find out what's in their DNA or history. You don't even know what you married into. So you talk a little bit about, because it's to me sitting here right here talking about it, I can go so many places with reigning. What's reigning in your region? What's reigning over your family?
I would say one thing I know is pride. And pride, it can be a good pride or a bad pride. And under pride, you like limelight, entertainment, puffed up, self-righteous. That's the bad side of pride.
So that can reign in a family?
Yes, because pretty much everything is just not one thing. It has clusters. So where it may go with me as, I want to be in the limelight, I want to be seen, I want to be on the stage. It could be the opposite of you. Low self-esteem, don't want to, an introvert, don't, because you're looking at yourself, what people think of me, why I won't, and that's one of the reasons why one is have a hard time reproducing and producing. Because if you're bound by that spirit, it can hinder you. Just like we talk about a wound can get well, but if it's words, it can harm you further along. And so if those words catch on to pride, it can turn into something else.
So is depression a spirit?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Wow. So that can reign over a family?
Yes.
Or over...
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So, wow. So if it's passed down like that and people don't know what's reigning, how do you begin to, like, it took the spirit to tell me, because I was interested. I didn't know what that was, because I feel like if we was really related double, I didn't understand what all this was. Like, we couldn't get along. Some thought they was better than the other one. It was a lot going on.
And it brings separation. It brings division.
But I didn't know that it was a spirit. Like, I still trying to connect that's a spirit reigning.
Right. Right.
So
and it starts from somewhere or somebody.
Right. So is there spirits over different organizations or your home or culture? Could it, like, in, we come from North Philly, so poverty.
Yeah. Drugs,
Wow.
alcohol. You'll see those things in your neighborhood. And with people growing up, it's either someone want to try that or they want to get away from it. But it is raining, murdering. It all goes along with it. I said because it's clusters.
So we're gonna have to do a intensive study, like every time we come on, maybe just name one spirit and say what all goes with that spirit, since it comes in clusters, because abandonment, rejection,
Yep.
all that can be attached to a spirit.
Right.
I know in the Bible it says the infirmity of, so you can have a spirit of.
Yep.
You bound by it.
Right.
So this is, I'm trying to process it as I'm talking about it. I'm just thinking about a lot.
So, the Bible says that wine is a mocker.
It's a mocker. Mm-hmm.
So, under someone that does alcohol or drugs, it just don't be that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the reasons why, even for my children, I didn't want that wine. I didn't want them. Some people can drink sociably.
Yeah.
But then when other people, some people,
when it's a spirit, when it's a reigning spirit,
it brings on
something.
it brings on, as you just said, that perversion.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of sexual premarital sex to fornicate, just all kinds of things. Pornography will come under that spirit too.
Right.
Then if you're doing that, you got to lie.
Yeah.
Lie and go with it, because you ain't gonna tell the truth about what you're doing.
Wow. So it's like the Legion.
That name's the Legion.
Just
it's
a
a
whole
bunch,
just a whole lot of it, right?
But like you said, because we were intertwined, the aunts married the nephews, or the brothers marrying the sisters. So you don't know what's in each bloodline. Right. So that's where a legion can come from, because it's a lot of mixed spirits. And when it's not addressed, you keep having birth to children, and these children going to come up with something. The Bible says that each generation get wickeder and wiser.
So you can be swatting at the symptoms.
Right.
I hear mothers or parents or people, you just like your daddy.
Yep.
You're just like your mother. Or you just like your aunt. Or you remind me of your grandpa. What you're seeing is the
you
rain.
saw it before.
You saw it before. But you just put it out there, but you never take time to see the child probably can't help themselves because there's a spirit on them.
Right.
But if you don't know that, you can't beat it out. You can't beat something out of that's inherited, right?
And so that's good or bad. You can have the good things, and you can have the not so good things. But if it's not addressed,
right?
Because we are born with it.
Birthed in
even
it.
From Adam, everybody was born in sin, and shaped in iniquity, and that's why it's important for us to have the new birth, because you carry all that stuff.
So. Okay, you just brought up a point. You know where I'm going. It's important for us to have the new birth. But even in that, it tell you to die daily. It's not just, we know we take on, when you have the new birth, you have it. When you take on God or you accept Christ. But if you don't work it out.
No.
There's people been baptized, whatever it is, and they still carry, because you haven't dealt with the spirit. So it's still some work that you have to do. So, do you know what's reigning in your family? Do you know what spirit sits over your region, your church, your household, your job, city, whatever it is? You have to really explore that it's more than just somebody just hard headed
Yep.
or somebody just acting out. It might be something they can't help,
Yep.
and it might be from the third generation.
Right.
You don't even know, why you're doing this. In the same way as passing down, like you're a minister. Well, we found out what nobody never told us. There's traits and things that you inherit. But if you don't know that, you just think, well, I got a love for the word. No, it's in your system. Anything, alcohol. I know some people that they tell mothers that's on drugs, don't do that while you're pregnant because it can pass down
Right.
to your
Right.
So it's not only those type of things passed down, but find out what's in your bloodline. Find out, make sure when you're hooking up with someone. I don't know if did you do this when you got married? Do you know your husband's history?
Oh no, I that
Because
wasn't.
mommy never told us her history.
No.
I've been asking my mother. We've been asking our mother. Who's our grandmother? Who's what? Because she was passed around so much. Mommy was
Right.
doing her thing when she was young. She said she just wanted to go to school, so she lived with a whole lot of families. But you can even take on
Right.
culture. So I don't know what we acting like. Who are you? You daddy or your mommy? You don't even
I'm
know.
a mixture.
You're a mixture.
Mixture.
Okay. But all serious, all jokes aside, know your DNA, know your genetics, study it. Ask somebody your history. See what's reigning over. If you see this to the third or fourth generation, then maybe it's a reigning spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about it, Gail, because like you said, the perversion, the sexual, the homosexuality, the lying, everything that came over a region, and you have no clue.
But what I will say, where there's life,
Yeah.
there is hope. And
Mhm.
you can be that one
Yeah.
that will stop it. For your
Generational
family.
curse.
Generation.
Stop
Stop
it.
it. Stop it.
But you have to know what to stop.
Right.
So you got to
Right.
find out what it is and say the buck
Stops here.
stops here.
Yeah.
So as we always say, we want to leave you with, hopefully you got something out of the little bit that we talked about, because it's a broad conversation of reigning spirits. But we're going to bring it back. We're not finished because she got a whole book. And we're going to take one at a time,
Yeah.
and just say the clusters
Right.
that goes with it. And you might find out why you see the certain action in your family, your kids, or whatever. But until next time, love God, love family, work hard, and be kind.